Welcome to FixItForgetIt.com, where projects and ideas come together.
Hi, this is John from FixItForgetIt.com. Today I want to talk to you about an inexpensive way to repair a busted toilet flange, because in my situation I really can't use this little bolt with the ear on each side, because the outside of my toilet flange, that little retainer wall on the outside there of the outside of that slot, is cracked. So what we're going to do is we're going to use one of these. This is a wood screw on one end, and then on the other end it has a nut thread on there. And you can do this one of two ways. We're going to drill a hole right down in between the ears of that little PVC retainer on the outside of the flange, and I'll show you that when we get to that point. And once that little pilot hole is drilled in there, we will then screw this wood thread right down in there, and then you can either put an acorn nut on the top and use a wrench or a socket to drive that down in there, or if you don't have an acorn nut, you can put one nut on it, and then you can piggyback another nut on there, snug those together real well, then you can use that to screw this down into the wood floor. So we'll have a look at that and see how this works out. We're up here at this toilet flange now. I'm going to try to show you that crack. I hope it'll show up. It comes right out of this corner and goes to right about there. It's almost all the way off the edge of this flange. So that allows this outside part of this little slot retainer to flex upward, and I just cannot tighten the bolt or the nut down on that bolt. So that's why we are going to come in here, take this new bolt with the wood screws, drill a pilot hole, pop it down in there. Hopefully that'll fix things up nicely. One of the grossest jobs known to man is cleaning up and scraping off one of these old beeswax seals on these toilet flanges. There's nothing about that I like, and a few years ago I found this little seal. It says better than wax, and I believe that's a little silicone seal. It's somewhat rubbery, and these things are great. You can even reuse them, or if you're working on replacing a seal and you put this on, you set the toilet in, and for some reason you need to pull it back out and do a little more work and then reset it, no problem. These things are fantastic. They come with various configurations. Everything's included in the package. You can build up a recessed below floor toilet flange. There's a fair amount of stuff in here. Brass bolts, stainless steel nuts and washers, little plastic retaining washers. So it's really a neat little package. They're not very expensive. It has a 10-year warranty. So these things are fantastic. I really like them. When I'm going to replace bolts in these toilet flanges, I like to come in and make a little mark. First I get the toilet all adjusted properly, and when I have it exactly where I want it, I'll pull it off, and then I put a little mark on each side of these old bolts. There and there. That way you know exactly where the new bolts need to go. Obviously, that's especially important in a situation like this where you're going to be drilling a hole down through there. So hopefully this will turn out nice and be secure, and I'm going to get after that and pull these old bolts out of here, drill a pilot hole, put that new bolt down on that left side. I'm going to replace the right bolt while I'm at it, just so everything's fresh and new, and then we will see how this turns out. On the left, the wood threads are screwed down into the wooden floor nicely. It's very secure, no movement at all. I put a new one on the right as well. That's just a standard bolt with the little fingers on the bottom that hold each side of the slot. I have the silicone gasket down in there. We're just about ready to start finishing this project up. You want to make sure that these bolts with the wood screw threads on the bottom are the 3.5 inch long version. This one's a 1/4 inch by 3.5 inches. They make these in 2.5 inches, but that's probably going to be too short for you. You could easily run into trouble with one that's 2.5 inches, so be sure you get the 3.5 inch. When it comes time to cut the tops of these bolts off after the toilet's installed, I like to use a multi-purpose tool. This one has a carbide bit on it. Probably wouldn't have to be carbide to cut through brass, but I had one and it makes the job go fast and easy. I would not use any kind of a little fiber cutoff wheel on a Dremel or something like that, because sometimes you'll be cutting with a little rotary cutoff wheel. It'll suddenly go through the bolt and that little cutoff wheel will cut into the porcelain on the toilet and scratch or gouge it. So you want to be careful of that. Using one of these multi-purpose tools is much safer. The blade just oscillates back and forth and it'll go right through that nicely. You'll have a lot of control that way. So we will continue on and start buckling this up and see how it works out. This project is now finished. Real happy with the way this turned out. The Fluidmaster silicone seal did a great job. Very happy with that. I'm also pleased with how securely this toilet is mounted on there now. It does not move or rock at all. Nice and secure. The last thing I wanted to do with this repair is have to take that old toilet flange out. I would have had to gone down into the basement, gotten up in there, cut out the old plumbing, take the flange out, drive to the store, get a new flange, elbows, couplers, PVC glue, all that stuff. It would have involved a fair amount of money, a lot of work, a lot of time. I did not want to have to go through that, and by using this little closet bolt or toilet flange bolt, that saved me from having to do all that. This was a relatively inexpensive and easy repair compared to what I could have gotten into here. You want to make sure that you get the solid brass bolt and the 3-inch bolt. After I was finished with this repair, just for laughs, I put a little dab of JB Weld on the tip of the screw. Just went down, got up into the ceiling there and put that little dab on there. Just as extra reinforcement. Probably would not have had to do that, but I just wanted to make sure that this stayed secure long term. I also found these little caps that go over the bolts, and I've been quite happy with those too. These little guys. And one of my pet peeves is when you're cleaning a toilet and you bump into these things, often they'll just fall right off of there. These have a little round plastic retainer that screws right down on the top of this bolt, and it has little teeth up inside this cap that when you push it down they catch that little retainer, so they seem to stay on there very securely, so I was real happy with that. So if you have a broken toilet flange and you want a pretty fast, pretty easy repair, that might be something that'll work out for you. I will have some affiliate links to these products down in the description. You're welcome to use those if you'd like. They'll take you directly to the products. I will also have the descriptions down there for you. And this is John from FixItForgetIt.com. I appreciate you coming along on this repair. We will see you in the next video.